What's cracking?
How you doing? All right. Look who it is.
The one and only.
Wandered into the lion's den. We here now.
Here she is.
What's going on, Yoana? How you doing?
You know, same old, not same old, because I've literally done a whole 360. 180? 360? Because 360, you go back to where you're at. 180, you're flipping 180.
Okay. 360, 180, same thing. We're growing and changing out here, baby. Growing and changing.
Yes, sir.
Dude, catch me
like
up.
this season.
Catch me up. I haven't, what is it? It's been what?
Since we've hung out.
2 years?
3?
Jeez,
3?
Louise, 3 years?
3 whole years. I just found my Snapchat stories. I sent it to you.
Yeah.
4 years ago, you helped us
When
move
Alexa's
a car.
car croaked.
Shout out.
Shout out to Alexa.
You know who you are.
In that doodle ass PT Cruiser of yours. That thing was a walking death trap.
God.
Oh,
we
my
had
goodness.
hope for that car.
Remember, she was so excited about that car too. She was hyped.
She paid $100 for it. She paid $100 for that car.
I guess that old saying, you get what you pay for. Guess they came true there.
Yeah, pretty much.
You?
Pretty much.
How's that new business going?
It's going well. I mean, I've just been in business for 2 weeks, so I guess business is booming so far for the 2 weeks that I've been in business. Selling desserts. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't.
What's your Instagram?
Well, my business Instagram, lechewithatwist. Go put in the bio.
I'll plug it in the bio. Yep.
Yeah, it's been going well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So what was the whole concept behind that? Where did that kind of inspiration come from?
So really, I just wanted to make a bomb cheat dessert, and I'm from Miami, and I don't see it nowhere here in West Palm Beach. So I was like, you know what? Let's make tres leche, but with a twist to it.
Now, what's the twist?
So there's Oreo tres leche, red velvet tres leche, Nutella tres leche. Like, who does that? Me.
I don't know of anybody.
Me. Now you do.
Listen, I was hoping you were gonna bring a couple over to the spot today.
I brought pizza.
Yeah. Little Caesars.
Little Caesars, shout out.
Shout out to the Caesars. Sponsor me, big dog. Oh man, but I'm really excited. And Yoana, thank you so much for kind of stopping by on a serious note.
Thank you for having me. This is my first real interview.
First real interview. And our first real interview together.
Yeah.
And I was kind of interested, because we have been kind of collaborating and talking about, kind of sitting down and having this discussion for a little while. And I think the thing for us is we were just really trying to figure out, what was something that meant something to both of us, that we both had understanding and kind of a history of.
Yeah.
And I think what was so powerful about kind of our backstories, we started, we first met each other, 4.5?
5
maybe? Years ago?
Because I worked at Panera for like 2 whole years with you.
Yeah, so we met way back 2014, 15 at Panera Bread.
Yeah.
So we go way back.
Way back.
So, kind of just catching up like this, not only can
it's
we...
fresh, refreshing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And it feels good too, because it gives us a second to kind of reflect and think about where we came from.
Yup.
And, what's so crazy is we both kind of took different journeys in a sense, but I think what's so interesting is that we both had, a commonality in the sense, when we were at Panera, I think we were both kind of dealing with things going on within ourselves that were obviously different, right? But they kind of revolved around the same thing, and I think the topic that we had talked about was insecurities, right?
For sure.
And, what's so interesting is we, like I had said, we went about it different ways.
I remember you started going ham at the gym.
Yeah.
Well, I kid you not. Your whole body changed. Like literally, I'm sorry, you were skinny.
Yeah.
You have bumps. You have bumps. Literally, it was like from day and night, you switched. You switched on everyone.
Yeah, hey.
For the better, but you did it for you.
And that's what's so interesting is that you had kind of we both, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'll kind of have you dive in a second, our bodies, were both things that we were insecure about, right?
A fact.
So, my question for you is, kind of, if you wouldn't mind, just sort of open up about, some of your insecurities, and where it all really started. When did you really understand that you did have insecurities, right?
A very young age. I mean, I know I've had it for forever, but realized it 16 years old. That's when I feel like all the girls in high school and middle school would just compete, and I really didn't have much to offer. I mean, you know me, I've never had boobs, and I'm just talking about physical appearance. Did not have boobs, back like a quarterback. I kid you not, I did. No butt. This is a funny fact. They used to actually call me Plank. You know Plank from Ed and Eddie?
No way.
They used to call me Plank, and I took it as a joke. Like it didn't harm me. I know it was a joke, but deep down inside, it kind of like triggered me. So yeah, since I was 16, pretty much, because that's when that whole competition from high school, all the high school girls. So. And
do you think that those insecurities stem, from that kind of high school atmosphere, or do you think it came from somewhere else?
It started for sure from high school, but then after that with work, meeting other women, other girls, because they weren't women at the time, but all of the girls, I found very beautiful features in them that I wish I had, and I knew I wasn't gonna have them even if I worked really hard for. So it just kept adding on, like a glass of water. Like it just filled to the top, and it was depressing.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you kind of hit on something that's really powerful there. There's we had talked about this kind of off camera beforehand. Talking about that cycle, right? That sort of vicious cycle. Because one thing I found with myself is kind of like what you had said. All throughout my life growing up, I was always that skinny kid, right? And I would still say I'm probably skinny now, right? I've obviously been working on it, been growing and changing, but I definitely wouldn't say I'm no bodybuilder or anything like that. But
everyone's different.
Of course. And I think for me, what I realized was that, growing up, you get called skinny so many times, or you get called plank so many times. Whether you realize it or not, it does start to take a toll on you over time.
Like it's funny at first.
It's funny at first, and then it's funny until it's not funny. You get what I'm right?
Yeah.
And what's so crazy is that oftentimes you don't even realize that it's not funny until you're so deep in the hole that you don't even really know how to get out of it, right? Yeah. And then, kind of going back to that cycle, so now you look to the most available outlet to try to shoot towards something, right? And oftentimes, especially in our generation, social media.
Especially nowadays,
right? And so you go, look at this person you want to be like, and so, okay, I'm going to look like that guy or that girl. Not knowing that what they did to get there is an impossible feat to do, right? It's just not in the cards to try to accomplish that, but we don't know that.
And they don't tell us that.
And they don't tell you that either, right? So you're shooting for something that's impossible, right? You're not getting the results that you're looking for. You're not getting the change that you want. Therefore, you feel worse about yourself, and you're back to square one. And you keep going in this cycle, non-stop, a never-ending cycle, and it just continues. And let's kind of backtrack a little bit, because again, we had talked about this off camera, and I think you're just a little bit nervous. Niagara Falls over here.
Yeah.
You had referenced your father.
Yes.
Right, and you had referenced your fluctuation of weight, from when you were a kid, kind of growing up to high school to even when I met you at Panera, and there was that fluctuation there. Kind of dive into that, because based off what you had told me off camera, that definitely played a role.
Huge.
In some of those insecurities that you had.
Yeah, so growing up, literally since birth till probably 10 years old, I was always daddy's girl. I was filled with attention, so it's not like I wanted the attention, it was already given to me. 10 years old came and my father passed away. And that's when the attention just started drifting. Like my mom, she found love again, so that's where her attention was going towards.
Right.
Not saying that my mom wasn't there for me. She was, it's not the same.
Sure.
So then once I hit 10, that's when my weight was just jumping around, so I didn't know what I was. And then you start middle school, high school, and me being overweight, because my father gave me everything I wanted. If I wanted food at McDonald's 3 times a day, he'll ask my mother. He will give it to me. He will not tell me no. So high school came in, I'm this big bulky girl, because that's what I was. Shout out to everyone. Facts. It was hard to look at myself every day and going to school and seeing all these pretty girls getting the attention, which sucks to say, but growing up, if you have the attention and it's taken away from you, you're confused. You're like, what is this? Like, what's going on? So that's when I forced myself into the dance team. Because if you really think about it, in any movie, in any show, the cheerleader, the dancer, they're always getting attention. They really are. And I forced myself to dance. At first, I didn't know crap about dancing.
And that was part of the motivation when you did join the dance team, because of what you saw.
I saw the dancers getting all the attention that I craved, that I wanted. Toxic, very toxic to think like that, but it's my story.
Of course.
It's my story. Joined the dance team, finally got the attention I wanted. But of course, high school comes to an end, and that attention sometimes goes away. And not only that, I moved. So like I mentioned, I was raised in Miami. Then I moved to West Palm, where I don't know nobody. Like, I knew no one, not one soul, my sister. And then I have to like get that attention once more. And that's where I met you guys. And that's where I got my attention from. Once I met you and Alexa, that's where I got my attention from. And I was so happy with it. And then we would go out all the time. Times, man, right?
Oh man. Roombas.
Dude.
Doesn't even exist
that
anymore.
triggers.
Whoa.
That triggers some memory.
Whoa.
And that's just to like summarize my life. But then of course, you had to go your direction. Alexa had to go her direction, and that left me with going to my direction.
Right.
Met the current love of my life.
Round of
Shout out.
applause. Round of applause.
And I've seen this happen before I was even in a relationship. I see girls lose themselves in relationships. Happens, not judging, because it does happen a lot.
It's happened to me too. Happened to me too.
You get in a relationship and you gain those couple roles, the LBs. It happens. Happened to me. Happened to me. And then a year or two later happens and you lost yourself. And it's like quicksand. Like, how do you get out?
Right.
Because my boyfriend, he can eat everything for a whole 6 hours straight. If I do the same, there's no way I can lose that the same way he does. There's no way. So then I noticed and I caught myself.
And it's so tricky too, right? Because what you had said is so true, you know, relationships, it's such a funny thing, right? Because us being good friends since Panera, we've definitely both seen each other go through relationships, you know, meet people, walk away from people. And, you know, we've definitely seen each other at our lows and our high points, right?
We really have.
Yeah.
I've cried to you so many times.
Oh.
Get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, what's so interesting is that, you know, when you do get in those relationships, right, and it's hard to maintain your identity, right, and to maintain what you've built within yourself when you start to be with somebody, because you start to combine yourself.
You morph into one.
Right.
And that's what happened.
And it's so tricky, because what you just said right there is so true. That's happened to me. You start to form your identity based off your partner. That partner walks away, then you're left with nothing. Now
that's more dark.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
darker, sorry.
That's a dangerous place to be, you know, because then what creeps in? All those insecurities. All those past demons that you had fought. All that stuff that you had overcome in the past. Where is it right now? Right on the forefront.
Yeah.
You have nothing else to distract you. And that's going to be the end of part one. What we're going to do in part two is we're going to kind of dive into some of the strategies that Yoana used to work through, you know, some of those insecurities that she had talked about in terms of her body.
And they were extreme.
And then just more so her progression, you know, her progression in terms of after identifying those insecurities that you had, what she did to address those, and, you know, and then we'll kind of dive into her story after that. So that's the end of part one. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. And we'll see you at part two. Yeah, so you're gonna see a couple boxes in a little circle. So over here, this is gonna be a playlist with a whole bunch of other videos that I posted. If you like what you saw so far from the sit down, you'll be able to keep up with everything right there. Right here is gonna be the video to my previous video. And then right here, click that circle there. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell icon to make sure you get all the updates whenever I come out with some new content. I appreciate the support. Let's keep the train going. Here we go.